There we go. Hey, everybody, boys and girls. How you doing? I am Chris Maloney. This is the 5th episode of the Thursday Night Throwdown, TNT. And coming to you from London, Ontario, Canada, Shawn Bates of Scumbags of Wrestling is alongside me. How's your week been, Shawn?
A lot better than Sunday when I was barely hanging in there for our review of the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and it was late at night as well. So lots of news to get into. Some of it just being released today, which is kind of cool. Not cool for the WWE. So I'll get into some of the stuff that's been happening, and then we'll go through just the show itself. But Shawn, have you heard about co-presidents Barrios and Wilson gone from WWE today?
No.
So WWE co-presidents, I'll just bring up the article here. WWE announced a big management shakeup today with two members of the leadership no longer with the company. A press release that was issued this afternoon revealed that co-presidents George Barrios and Michelle Wilson are gone from WWE effective immediately, no longer serve on the company's board of directors. I would like to thank George and Michelle for their 10-plus years of service and contributions to the organization, Vince McMahon said in a press release. So 10-plus years with the company, two of those names they've always heard about as far as being on the back end of the WWE. Apparently, after the stock market closed in New York today, stocks went down at $10 at least. Shawn, are you familiar with the two names there that I just mentioned?
Yeah, I've heard of them. I think, what was it, Michelle? Was her name?
Yep, Michelle.
She was part of the first press conference with the WWE Network when they were launching it. So I recall seeing her as a public face at that point.
Yeah, so you think about it this way. Last 6 months, Eric Bischoff has been fired. Now the two co-presidents of WWE have been fired. So obviously, I don't know if it's anything to do with Vince McMahon, the XFL, and knowing the fact that he's not going to be able to be on duty as much. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I mean, obviously, WrestleMania right around the corner. And the last I heard, there was no solid plan yet as far as WrestleMania goes. So anyways, that news broke today as far as those two go. Something else that broke today as well was, and I saw this on Post Wrestling, Morgan Allen speaks for the first time with regards to the incident on Corey Graves. Shawn, have you had a chance to read that story there?
Well, I didn't read it, but I was listening to the podcast with John and Way, and they talked about the whole thing. And I guess it did mean that he was having a lot of problems with his whole bipolarism that he is dealing with on a daily basis. And while he, I guess, has mended fences with Corey Graves over the whole thing, he also said he wouldn't ever call out a co-worker in the way that he was called out, but it did spark his need to get off of social media. So he is done with that. So you're not going to be able to contact him in that regards. But I guess it's going to be better for his own mental health. And speaking of which, yesterday was Bell's Let's Talk Day, and that's why he was on the show on TSN doing the interview.
Yeah, so definitely an important day for Canadians yesterday. I still feel bad about the fact that Corey Graves actually had said anything at all, but Morrow seems to be, I guess, okay with it, to the point of, being on social media and stuff like that. And then in the interview, how he feels personal life, I don't know for sure, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. The other big news that came about the past couple of days is Pro Wrestling Noah got acquired by DDT. Have you heard about that one?
Yeah, I heard that one also from Post Wrestling. Luckily, I get to walk my dog for about a half hour, 45 minutes and catch up on everything that in that regards. And so I guess they were possibly Noah was going to be acquired by WWE, or at least WWE was looking into it. And instead of going that route, they are now owned 100% by DDT. I guess last year they had sold 75% of themselves to another group, but now a whole thing, the whole organization 100% is with DDT. And they're going to be part of their on-demand service and have a little more presence.
Yeah, so Cyber Agent officially were the ones that take them over. Interesting enough, hopefully I don't get, I'm probably going to get yelled at by YouTube again, but I was having a little bit of fun with one of Mike Rollins' unofficial theme songs, so to speak, and Mike had That was I believe the promotion he was over there for, wasn't it? Was DDT?
Yeah, DDT, when he then made his quick trip in like 4 minutes from Japan to London in time to go after the Blade or Pepper Parks.
Yeah, most people know the Blade nowadays, but yeah, it's so interesting to know how much we know. You know so much more than I do, but Smash Wrestling, for example, how these guys are local and familiar in this and that, and then all of a sudden they go up to AEW, for example, and they're still kind of learning their craft, even though we know how skilled they are. And that goes for the SSB as well, who are Dark Order over there. But what we'll do right now,
that's like a huge shame. I think I posted that last night on the post show for Everything Pro Wrestling with Conrad, and we were talking about the fact that it's a shame that these guys that we pop for in Ontario, Buffalo, or in Quebec love them, but then they get on the main stage of AEW and it falls on deaf ears. People wondering, who are you?
Yeah, so it's one of those things. I mean, AEW is still fairly new, October through now, but I think in time we'll end up seeing them either evolve or maybe go elsewhere. I don't know what their contract situation is over there. But anybody who didn't catch the Royal Rumble post show, didn't catch our thoughts, like Shawn had said, his voice a little bit better here. So last weekend, Hard Times took place, Worlds Collide took place, Rumble took place as well. As opposed to going through everything individually, Shawn, your thoughts on any highlights that stood out from those three shows last weekend, besides obviously Edge reappearing?
Well, I loved the Worlds Collide. Definitely, as I said on our preview show last week, that DIY versus Mustache Mountain was probably the match of the weekend, but definitely the match of Worlds Collide.
And then
how also, even just not necessarily involving those three shows, but between Worlds Collide and Monday Night Raw, there was tag team matches that happened, and people got injured in them, yet it didn't really take away from the matches. So even when Alexander Wolf got injured and became 4-on-3, that main event didn't skip a beat. And then even this past week, when Samoa Joe got taken out with his concussion, Kevin Owens carried on 2-on-1 situation, and it didn't look like it was an accident, or it didn't look like it was an oops type situation. They carried on as though it was sort of planned to happen. And so it was very seamless, and it shows the professionalism of all 10 guys who carried on with those matches.
Here's a question for you, just off the top of my head. If you're going to choose one guy to lead your promotion, is it going to be Walter or Adam Cole?
Adam Cole.
Yeah, how come?
Well, all around, he's got it going on for himself. He was awesome in Ring of Honor. He's excelling so much in NXT. He got to be in the Rumble last year. He is a student, and he loves Shawn Michaels. And anyone who can do that sort of deal, he knows the ins and outs. And Walter, while he's great for a big guy and able to do leapfrogs, and I'd hate to be chopped by him, maybe a little two-dimensional.
So as far as 2020 goes, he doesn't have the full package.
I wouldn't think so. Like he's amazing. I got to see him live. Got a picture taken with him in Toronto during Smash Wrestling's Super Showdown weekend. But yeah, he makes a good second person. But I think Adam Cole is all around, could go with anybody and almost be like Shawn Michaels, have a match with a broom and make it look good.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you there. So Rumble highlights, obviously Edge made his return. We saw an appearance by Santina, the Brock McIntyre scenario there. One thing that I had heard a couple days past Rumble was the original winners were supposed to be Roman Reigns and Shayna Baszler. How do you feel about that one?
I picked Shayna Baszler to win. So with that one, A little disappointed. I'm glad they stuck with the idea or changed the idea of having Drew McIntyre win. It just means more. And unfortunately, even though the whole cancer thing happened, I'm not sure if the fans are 100% willing to back up a Roman Reigns. And if he'd won that match, he might have had the same treatment that he got in 2015, where he ended up winning it and people hated it. Now, if they'd done that in 2014 in Pittsburgh, instead of doing Batista, it would have been accepted because Daniel Bryan wasn't there and Roman became their next guy to win.
So we got Christopher Jones. Jonesy's online again. Brock eliminated people like the Rumble video game. That's kind of what he reminded me as well. It's a good analogy there. And it's funny how you mentioned Pittsburgh, because wasn't Jones with you on that trip?
Jones was on that trip with me along with Ed and Alex.
Yeah, so Ed Simon, where are you nowadays? Anyways, hit me up. CWN celebrated 10 years, and you were one of the first guys to actually write for the website. So, check it out. I'll name drop you every single week until I hear from you. So, anyways, I say that word a lot. Anyways. Next topic we're going to get into is Raw this past Monday night. 4 things came out of it for me, and I'll get your thoughts on it. So, number 1, Edge versus Randy Orton, the storyline itself. How do you think it's going to play out? Because we literally witnessed fans screaming in the audience when Orton had Edge's Edge's neck in between the chairs. Number 2 was Samoa Joe getting a concussion. Number 3 was Andrade, and I guess I'll go into a little more detail on that. So Andrade didn't drop the title. Injury angle keeps the title, but has been suspended for 30 days. Found out Monday morning. So I'll get your thoughts on that. And then last thing, MVP announcing that was his final WWE match. Thoughts on any of those there?
Well, it was for nostalgia's sake. MVP being there is okay. Unfortunately, I got a lot of guys in his era are not going to be the guys who are going to like pop the crowd huge, like when The Rock shows up and that era that he came from. Like, that's going to be the difficult part of having those special moments, and we can get over huge going, oh, I can't wait for them to come back. However, great to see him. If that's his last run in WWE, congratulations. Maybe that means a Hall of Fame induction this year. They could have definitely have used him with Lashley, like Impact did with Lashley and the whole thing. The Andrade thing, I don't know if they should have dropped the title on him, but he's only gone for 30 days, and the 30-day rule doesn't seem to apply anymore in 2020. Edge and Orton, awesome. I would have maybe stretched it out a little bit if they could have both gone to Saudi. I don't know who's doing what, but if they had done Rated RKO and looked like the strong tag team back together again, put them against a team like the Revival or anybody for that matter, and then the shocking turn at that point leading into WrestleMania, I'm not sure if it'd go even more passionate from fans, but you could see, as you said, the passion from the fans worried about this guy who just came back from neck surgery and taking this attack by Randy Orton. So there's a rare moment that people actually had fear and belief, and that's rare to do in this day and age.
Yeah, it definitely is. And then people commenting all over the internet and social media about that angle and how nobody was really seen anything like that in a while. So it was great to see. I'm curious to see where they're going to go with it. Rumored card right now for WrestleMania has 4 matches taking place. I'll get your thoughts on that. So Lesnar versus McIntyre for the WWE Championship, we know it's confirmed. The Fiend versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship, Edge versus Orton, and then one that's kind of been discussed but not. Rhea Ripley taking on Charlotte for the NXT Championship, as well as right now AJ Styles is injured, separated shoulder, supposed to be back in time for WrestleMania. Hit or miss as far as Styles goes. I mean, they're going to make or break your WrestleMania if it's AJ's on that show? And what are your thoughts on the 4 matches there?
Well, it's a shame if AJ ends up missing it, but I think they're taking precaution, and that's why they didn't rush him out there. The way things were looking at the Royal Rumble would have been AJ against Edge. Who knows? Maybe it becomes a triple threat. But right now, Edge and Orton, the way they set things up Monday, awesome. Good to have. Hopefully it's not too long because you don't want to take away from the younger guys because these guys are both, well, Edge is 46 and Randy, I think, is hitting 40-ish. He should be in the 40 range. But, so you don't want to take away from the newer generation. I like the idea of possibly Charlotte and Rhea Ripley because Charlotte wasn't the original plan if Shayna was going to be, because that's supposed to be Shayna against Becky, which is probably going to happen. And Charlotte against Bayley really doesn't work. So doing the whole sort of shocking that Charlotte would go after the NXT title, I like that idea. I dread seeing Roman and Bray. Unfortunately, Bray has a bad track record that he has a great presentation when it comes to his promos. His entrances are amazing, but then between the bells, you look back at some of his past feuds, kind of hit and miss on whether it's noteworthy. Putting him against Roman, unfortunately, people might crap on it because of both guys. And Brock and Drew took him 10 years, but he's finally the chosen one. So hopefully Drew gets the belt. He's definitely improved. Makes you almost look at 3MB and wonder why isn't Heath Slater go away to some other organization just to come back and win a world title. Since Jinder did it, now Drew has a chance of doing it.
You know why? It's because Heath's got kids, so he's got to pay for those kids. That's why.
Yeah, no indie promo is going to be able to let him pay for those kids.
Yeah, well, anyways, so that is the Rumor WrestleMania card right now. It'll be interesting to see if they pull the trigger on McIntyre. I think they should, but whether or not they will, I don't know. One of the things you mentioned was regards to the Bray Wyatt character. For the first time since, and he debuted at SummerSlam officially as far as his in-ring performance persona went. But the one thing I noticed from the Rumble is when I was watching him against Daniel Bryan, the entrance is what he has. It's like the Undertaker, but inside that ring, he's still Bray Wyatt. He's still not overly, over the top good as far as anything goes. So it'd be interesting to see if he can evolve, if he can kind of catch on with the fans past his entrance. Taker, longevity-wise, was great. I used to think Aleister Black was great, but now it's Aleister Black, to me, is nothing more than an entrance. So I guess we'll have to wait.
With Bray on this one with the Royal Rumble and at SummerSlam, they didn't use the red lights.
Yeah, a lot of people were commenting on that too. Yeah, hit or miss as far as the red lights go.
I'm indifferent. I didn't have a problem seeing. I think the worst part with the red lights was red lights on a red cage for that.
The Hell in a Cell against Rollins.
That was just horrible. But the other time that they used the red lights, TLC, didn't bother me.
So Bray Wyatt's red lights or Sin Cara's yellow lights?
Maybe Sin Cara's yellow lights, they weren't as bad. But even when Kane debuted in 97, you look back at that, he was using red lights too. His match at Survivor Series, I think it was against Foley, and that was all in red lights.
Yeah. It's the gimmick though. It's if you see a guy like Brock Lesnar start having lighting for his matches, then we're in trouble as far as wrestling goes. As far as trouble in wrestling goes, AEW versus NXT both dropped in ratings this week. AEW 828, NXT 712. I'll go through some highlights here as far as the two shows go. So Finn Balor defeated Trent Seven on NXT. Some woman wrestler defeated Deonna Purrazzo. Adam Cole, Tommaso Ciampa signed officially for TakeOver. Tegan Nox, Dakota Kai went at it. Chelsea Green actually got defeated. And then Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne defeated the Grizzly Young Veterans to win the Dusty Memorial Classic. Shawn surprised on the Dusty Classic, as well as what are they doing with Chelsea Green right now?
Yeah, I'm surprised with the Chelsea Green loss. I haven't caught up on NXT yet. I was going to do that tonight. A little bit surprised with the win with Riddle and Pete Dunne, the Broserweights. It's a good team, but I actually expected them to explode leading into them going against each other in Portland, which then they could have had the Grizzled Young Vets against Undisputed Era. And yeah, so they're setting up that unless this is going to be where they explode in Portland leading to WrestleMania, because they only have like a 6-week turnaround before they do another takeover.
Yeah, and speaking of takeovers, so 2 matches official that I've seen anyway. So Undisputed Era defending the championships against Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne, and then Adam Cole against Ciampa. Do you think we're going to see Undisputed Era lose all the belts this night?
No, I think it's still early. If they're going to drop any more titles, it will be at the WrestleMania weekend one.
Yeah. Ronda Rousey was a guest on Corey Graves. Was it After the Bell? Is that what they call that show?
Yeah.
Talking about her against wow, I'm bad with names right now. Her with Rhea Ripley. Who do you put over in that? Because to me, it's Ripley.
Right now, yeah. Like Ripley's probably even more over at the moment than even Becky Lynch.
Yeah. From AEW, we go into from NXT, we go into AEW. Mox promo, which was absolutely phenomenal. Did you see AEW this weekend or this week?
Yeah, I ended up catching that. I did miss Mox's promo. I caught everything else in the night. So unfortunately, I missed the best thing that came out of that show. The rest of the show seemed like it was okay matches, nothing spectacular. I guess coming off the last week's Jericho Cruise, it's kind of a backup in a way, just a show. Britt Baker now being a heel makes her actually interesting to watch potentially because people were really crapping on her for her lack of in-ring skill and kind of being boring. Now she's cutting heel promos on old-time announcers. So if that's what gets her over right now, Tony Schiavone serving up Starbucks and JR shilling out barbecue sauce, so be it.
So are we allowed to make jokes about Mauro Ranallo and Tim Hortons then?
Sure. She'd probably pick on him for that.
What's that?
She'd probably nail him for that one.
Yeah, I tell you this, I'm loving the Britt Baker character as far as the heel side goes, and she's got one of the best to learn from, obviously from Adam Cole.
Yeah, she might need to pick up some tips from her boyfriend.
Yeah, I mean, she's still very young, still very green, as they call it in wrestling. But the fact is, she's got a lot of potential, So it's we'll have to wait and see. The other thing that I wanted to mention as well is with AEW, did they need another championship? So when I'm saying that, you got guys like Kip Sabian, you got guys like Darby Allin, Joey Janela, those guys there, not necessarily ever going to hit the world title scene, but do they need a mid-card belt?
That's a good question because, yeah, there are definitely those 2 levels. There's even those 2 levels in the tag team division where who are the top tag teams and who are the enhancement tag teams with names. But, yeah, I don't know if it's time to clutter the scene with titles. I've heard that question as well earlier today, and they were wondering also if Cody would be the first person to hold a mid-card title since he can't go after the main championship after his loss at the last pay-per-view. So that would be a way of establishing it as not necessarily a mid-card belt, but you never know how it would end up falling. Maybe they do a TV title instead, so that's something consistent and anybody can go for it. I think they said something on the line that next year for Jericho Cruise 3 was going to be something involving the 6-man tag team titles being introduced. So they're already planning that a year in advance.
Yeah, I tell you this. So a huge fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and anybody who knows me knows that. But The one thing I'm missing right now is the Elite. So Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. If they bring in a 6-man tag team belts, I would love that for sure. Like ROH has it, and AEW I think could thrive with it as well. So especially with other guys like SCU as well. So
And WCW used to have one, or the NWA, and Tony Schiavone apparently has one of the belts that Conrad Thompson is trying to get from him, but will not get it out of his attic for him.
yeah, well they'll have to. There was one title in wrestling, wasn't there? Where somebody had a hold of and then they passed away and then went digging through the attic and then they end up reviving it. Was it one of Bruno's old belts?
Potentially, I'm not sure.
Yeah, anybody out there knows about that, hit me up. So this is the TNT Thursday Night Throwdown. One of the words in that is throwdown. Shawn, I'm going to hit you with 10 topics, just basically one quick word or two about what I'm going to say here. Maximo reportedly stable condition after suffering a heart attack. He is related to Super Porky, which you know from WCW. Too many guys having issues right now with regards to their health.
Potentially, and depending on that era that they're coming from, there was a lot of people pushing themselves really hard, whether it was not taking any days off because they knew they were going to lose their spot or feared that they were going to lose their spot. And so I guess that's the one saving grace of a roster like a AEW, where you're only working once a week and not having to push yourself as much, and you get longevity with your health and your career. But yeah, people of a different generation are having a lot more health problems.
All right. Second one, Joni Lauer's story in production. Apparently it's official as far as her family saying yes to it. Thoughts on it? Is it needed?
I'm indifferent. It was, in a way, a great gimmick when she first came in to be the female bodyguard of a male wrestler. But, she did all the enhancements, the whole cheating on deal, and she left. What's more to tell? She got high on drugs and did porn with X-Pac.
I muted that to shake my head, but all right, next one, Killer Kross. Where's he going to end up?
Right now, I wouldn't mind seeing him in maybe NXT. I don't think, that's probably his best spot at the moment, because he'd be, unless he's like a relative of Baron Corbin.
Yeah, that would be brutal. Do you line him with Scarlett Bordeaux if he's down there?
Yeah, why not? They're already aligned in real life, so.
All right, next one, La Parka's son to take over late father's persona. Apparently, LA Park passed on it. One of those things. Do you agree with this, or should they have just laid it to rest with La Parka, the guy himself?
I would have laid it to rest, but with it being a relative taking over, maybe they do La Parka 2 or something, La Parka Jr., just throw it out there, and that way they keep the name alive and not necessarily say it's a different person, like how, or that same person, should I say, like how the WWE did with Sin Cara.
Yeah, the La Parka Jr. I think would be cool, especially with the family relation there. Report Brody Lee to AEW in March.
They need bigger guys. Somebody has to go against Jack Swagger.
Okay,
or
so
Jake Hager.
Next name on the list is unofficial right now, but Lance Archer to AEW as well.
Another bigger guy. They got a lot of little guys, so if they get some more bigger guys, mix it up. They got Wardlow and Hager. If they get...
they also got Luchasaurus as well.
Yeah, and Luchasaurus. So you get some bigger guys in there. Mix it up.
All right, Shawn Spears to trademark the term The Reaper. Thoughts on that one?
Nope.
All right. Any thoughts on Van Hammer?
Well, he no-showed StarCast 4, took Conrad's money, and so he probably wasted it on the alcohol that, unfortunately, that child got hit.
Oh, that was bad. That was bad. All right.
How many DUIs does the guy probably have? I think I heard that's
3 on record, I think.
Huh?
Three that officially now 3 that are on record.
Yeah.
But
So
he did post bail, so I'm heading back to the East Coast if all of a sudden I hear he's coming this way. Whether or not they let him across the border, probably not, though.
he's using Conrad Thompson's money wisely.
Yeah. Trish Stratus to be inducted into the George Tragos Luthez Professional Hall of Fame. That was on our website January 22nd. Just a quick thought on the transformation of Trish from when she debuted to going into a Hall of Fame, like a real Hall of Fame, actually.
Yeah, totally night and day. You see how she was basically a pinup girl and fitness model, and just even her transformation from being a manager, but she always had that drive, and that's what propelled her. And then she had people like Lita, so great, and then still having it after being away from the ring for a while. She dropped probably some muscle mass, had 2 kids, is doing the whole yoga thing. But when she was at SummerSlam and she did Evolution, didn't miss a beat.
All right, and last thing on the list, lack of WWE in London, Ontario right now is bothering you or no?
No, not really. Great. I can drop $25 to go see them at the Budweiser Gardens, but be up in the stands, or pay a couple $100 to be at ringside, only just to see a show and see them go, as opposed to independent wrestling, where I can pay that same $25 to $45 for a ringside seat and interact with the talent.
Yeah, well said. All right, folks, we are going to get into some Canadian independent wrestling talk right now.
Good segue.
Sorry, what?
Good segue.
Yeah, it was a good segue, actually. I'm going to add this banner. There we go. So that is the hashtag officially associated with my website, cwnonline.ca. Hashtag we are CIW. You click that link on my website, and that will basically bring you to Facebook, which has all the listings I'm aware of on Facebook across Canada, as well as you got some pro in there as well. What I'm going to do is do a rundown right now for the next couple days. This is what I know. If you don't see, me talking about it, the best way to get in touch with me is chris@cwnonline.ca. But again, I will talk about anything I can see as far as what's on Facebook. So Friday, January 31st, tomorrow, C4 presents Underground, Return to Beyond the Pale in Ottawa, Ontario. Main Event Wrestling as well, Montreal, Quebec. RCW Fight for Respect in Calgary, Alberta. And then Battle World 88, a rickshaw wrestling presentation. Tessa Blanchard is out there in British Columbia for that one. Saturday, February 1st.
Also,
go ahead.
Sorry. Also on Friday is Crossbody Pro Wrestling Showcase number 28. Tickets are just $5, and that's Kitchener, Ontario.
That was the one that the Midwestern guys were talking about last week that they were going to, eh?
Yeah, I believe they're going to that. They hit up 365 last week with Kitchener and Guelph.
All right, very good. See, one I wasn't aware of, so I'm going to have to hit up the Crossbody Pro Facebook page and add those events as well. So Saturday, February 1st, Federation Montérégie de Lutte in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu, Quebec. I've actually been there, even though I couldn't pronounce the actual name of the federation. HPW presents the Next Generation in Hamilton, Ontario. Lutte NSPW 300th show in Quebec City, Quebec. And the RCW Showtime in Edmonton, Alberta. Missing anything on the Saturday that you're aware of? Oh, here we go.
Yeah, I got my list in front of me because I just finished producing Ontario Indie Road Trip on YouTube, so people can catch out anything in Ontario. But on Saturday, February 1st, is Battle of the Brewery 2, and that is Chinlock Wrestling in Kingston.
That is the one that's owned by the guy with the unique name that sometimes writes for Slam Wrestling, I believe. I'll have to check it out. But anyways, thank you for that. And then Sunday, I'm pretty sure you're probably going to have more than this, because the only thing I got for Sunday is NWX presents Bad Blood in St. Catharines, Ontario.
That's all I got.
Oh, okay. So I'm 1 for 3. So not too bad. Right now, I'm going to do my thoughts on Canadian independent wrestling on this show is I want to do live interviews, but I also want to do a focus on a promotion in Canada. So in saying that, this week, I'm going to do FLQ Wrestling, which is in Quebec. The fine folks over there were nice enough to almost said yell at me, but were nice enough to fill me in on their promotion on Twitter earlier today. So thank you very much for that. So I'm just going to give you a brief little history on FLQ. FLQ, Fédération Lutte Québécoise Wrestling, is what it's officially called. Founded in 2000 by Paul and Carl Leduc. Paul was wrestling all around the world with his brother Jos as the Leduc brothers. Carl was in the WWE in the mid-90s. Was trained by Bruce and Owen Hart at the Dungeon for 4 years, then went on to become the trainer at the Hart Wrestling School in Cambridge. When he returned, they founded FLQ. FLQ has also had a women's brand, first women's promotion in Canada, they believe, called ALF. It was run by Kim Leduc, Paul's daughter, and Carl's sister. FLQ has always been a family business since 2016. FLQ is run by Carl and his wife, Dina. And the workers gone famous. We can note that Sami Zayn, who has had some of his very first matches at FLQ as Stephen McFly. They also sent me a picture of that as well, which was kind of funny. I'll post that on Shawn's Scumbag group later. He was wrestling in shorts and bowling shoes, if they weren't mistaken. And he was also tiny, no beard. As far as awards, our province doesn't really do these things. However, in the past 3 years, they have worked with Montreal Zoo Fest and Just for Laughs, which are two of the biggest comedy festivals in Montreal. They do outdoor shows and indoor shows during the festival. Also, FLQ has had many French TV series and movies such as Le Bougeon and Le Samit Banks du Ring. Pardon my French. Our next show is February 8th, and we'll feature our very first women's main event in history. So you're talking 2000 to now. Lufisto versus Nyla Rose. Nyla's first trip to Canada for wrestling, and they're both very excited. Shows are always available on Fight TV for free on demand. And the only one that is not free is last year's Cold Wars. We sold it for $5, and all proceeds went to the Buffalo Brothers Recovery Fund. They had a tragic accident on the way home from Cold Wars. FLQ Wrestling presents Cold Wars 2020, Saturday, February 8th. That is next Saturday, Bain Metho in Montreal, Quebec. And again, main event is Lufisto versus Nyla Rose. Check them out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, FLQ Wrestling. And 20 years of wrestling. And Shawn, you're probably well familiar with the Buffalo Brothers, what happened last year. And we as wrestling fans connected as a whole. I think first time I seen Kevin Bennett at a show, I ended up giving the guy a hug, and it was a sad time for wrestling. But your thoughts on some of the Ontario indie guys always going up there to Montreal and the Buffalo guys as well, heading up to FLQ all the time.
Yeah, well, that shows that they're open to having different people up there. Even some of their guys have come this way, like TDT. So it's a good exchange between Ontario and Quebec in that way. And I think I've seen how their setup with their building has been. And people are really close in a balcony setting to the ring. So it's a very intimate setting. But the fans are really rowdy. You got people like the Buffalo Brothers, TDT, Lufisto, Psycho Mike Rollins goes there. The Pillars are there. That's where the Dark Order are originally from. Plus, like I said, Buffalo, people like Butcher and Blade. So it's people we've known, whether it's in Ontario, hidden Quebec, can't go wrong with them.
Yeah, and Speedball Mike Bailey's been part of that as well, eh?
Yeah, and Veda Scott, of course.
Yeah, Veda Scott as well. Your thoughts on Lufisto taking on Nyla Rose? Who's going to take that one?
Two bulls basically getting into the ring. Like they're not going to hold back on each other, I don't think. I would hope for Lufisto to pick up the victory in that one. And
yeah, I'm with you with the Lufisto there. 4 shows I want to make mention as well. Smash Wrestling next Friday, New Beginnings, Fanshawe College here in London, Ontario. Smash Wrestling again, any given Sunday 8, Sunday, February 23rd in Toronto. Destiny Wrestling just announced Jordan Devlin, Trent 7, Tyler Bates, Sunday, March 22nd in Mississauga, Ontario. And then Midwestern Wrestling, of course, said it again, Saturday, March 28th, 2020, Listowel, Ontario. I'm getting a lot damn better. I just stopped thinking so much before I say stuff. So anyways, 4 more shows added to that list. 4 more shows I'm looking forward to as well. I know I'm going to 2 for sure, and probably not the other 2. But that's 50% right there, so it's not too bad.
I'm going to 3 of 4.
You're going to any given Sunday as well, eh?
Yeah, I have still 2 more seats to fill if people want to join me for GA seats.
Yeah, so I would be going, except for the fact I think I got work commitments that day. Anyways, best way to get in touch with me as far as independent wrestling shows go, if you want to see your promotion featured on here, you want to be interviewed, whatever the case may be, Chris at cwnonline.ca or Thursday Night Throwdown at outlook.com, or hit up Shawn on the, oops, that's the wrong one. There we go. Hit up Shawn, the Scumbags of Wrestling. We are Scumbags. Actually, I'm going to keep this up because Shawn knows this a heck of a lot better than I do. And we talked earlier before we went on the air about what we're going to be doing tonight. I want to do the Smash Awards, and I think you're in agreement with that, eh?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So do you want to give your thoughts, or do you want to give the rundown?
Well, I'd have to pull it up
okay,
first.
I will give the rundown then. I'll get your thoughts on some of these because for the most part, we saw a lot of this between Toronto and London, and then you had gone to, I think, St. Thomas and Tilsonburg and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, and I was looking at the list of shows, even for the show of the year, and 4 out of the 5 of them I was at, except for the was it Progress against Smash, and I think you were at that one during the SummerSlam weekend. But that's the one show of the 4 that I ended up missing, because the other ones included Super Showdown, the Northern Tournament Night 2, the Summit, and I think it was Orange is the New Black here in London.
All I know is I got to meet Ultimo Dragon last year. I marked out, so I spent a buttload of money too. All right, so January 28th, it was released. Year in Awards plus stats. You all voted here your winners for the 2019 awards, but first make sure you get your tickets for their next 2 shows. Those be in London, February 7th at Fanshawe College, and then Toronto on February 23rd, and that is at the Rec Room up there. So, no surprise at all. Male Wrestler of the Year, Men's Wrestler of the Year, Psycho Mike. Deserving?
Yep. I know I have voted for him on that one.
All right, we go next. The Women's Wrestler of the Year, Rosemary.
Not surprised. She did appear a few times for Smash Wrestling during the year. She became the first women's champion. I know in that list of women that were up for nomination, Violet Lee was one of them, and in the year rundown numbers, she had the most wins of the women for Smash Wrestling.
Yeah, I wish Violet Lee had gone on to stay running in Smash. And I understand her reasons for it, but I think I would have probably voted her maybe Female Wrestler of the Year. But you never know. Maybe she'll come back and we can vote her next year or the year after, or whatever the case may be. Men's match.
Once the family things and schooling get straightened around, she'll be there. The passion's still around.
Yeah, well, and that was the thing too. She always had that passion, and she was great with interacting with the fans, old and young. So, men's match of the year: Psycho Mike versus Orange Cassidy.
That's one that I didn't see because it was the night before, I believe, in Toronto before they came here. And we ended up seeing Orange Cassidy with Sebastian Suave and Cody Deaner. But yeah, I believe I did end up seeing the video of that, and it was just total comedy. Akin to when Psycho Mike took on Kiko Taro on the Christmas show. So definitely worth it.
Yeah, my wife's been to one independent show her whole entire life, and it was Smash versus CZW, and the one person she liked and thought was hilarious was Psycho Mike. So definitely knows how to create a fan out of a non-fan. So women's match of the year: Rosemary versus Casey Spinelli. That would have been, I guess, from the Summit, eh?
That was the Summit with the crowning of the first women's champion. Some of the other matches that were up for grabs on that one were from the Summit, including, I believe, Jordan Grace and Lufisto. There was also, who was it? Zoe Lucas was up. Her match was up for grabs, and so was Shotzi Blackhearts.
Yeah. So tag team of the year is Scott Hunter and Brad Myers. Surprised with that one?
Not there.
Otherwise known as Halal Beefcake.
Yeah, definitely deserving. They held the titles for so long after defeating the Pillars. Who would have ever thought that was going to happen? The Pillars should have somewhat been holding them for a long time after they defeated Psycho Mike and Pepper Parks.
All right, tag team match of the year: Halal Beefcake versus Fight or Flight. Where was this one? Where did this one take place?
That is a good question.
It wasn't here in London, eh?
Yeah, I think it was a Toronto one. But yeah, I saw that one. Yeah, being in London, Toronto, blur. But yeah, really good high flying match between them. Teams work well together. Deserving, of course. I'm a Revolt fan, so if it had been Beefcake and Revolt, I would have voted for it.
Yeah. Most popular, Psycho Mike.
Not surprising.
Most hated, Kevin Bennett.
Not surprising. We were there for the title change during the Northern Tournament, and he had his buddies there from Buffalo taking down Tarek. And I actually have a cool picture of him down, about to sneak out of the ring, but looking right at the hard camera and towards where we were standing. And he's just got this shit-eating grin of both what's happening, knowing that the ref is down and his boys are taking out Tarek, and he's sliding out unharmed. So it's a really cool picture. And then moments later, he took the title, and he's been holding on to it since. Is it going to be dropped anytime soon? We'll have to wait.
Yeah, my two favorites right there, Tarek and Kevin Bennett. And I think I called that one, but the way that went down was you'll probably never see something like that again.
Shenanigans.
Yes, shenanigans. And who was the rapper that was in the house that night? Because he couldn't do anything.
Claire.
Yeah, Shock Layer. Shock Layer and shenanigans. Breakout performer of the year, Carter Mason. I gotta agree with that one, even though I hate the guy.
I definitely agree with the first part of your statement. Can't say I hate the guy. Yeah, definitely breakout performer of the year. I think Muscle was on that list as well, and the Revolt. So a lot of good choices. And with Carter Mason getting himself into a heated feud with Tyson Dukes, especially after the loss at the Northern Tournament, getting himself into the match, the three-way match at Super Showdown, and having Tyson go after his mom, they've been on fire ever since, and coming to a head this next weekend.
Let me say this: when I say I hate somebody, it's not. I don't hate them in person. It's the character. You know what I mean? He does his character well, so give him props for that. But that crown that's on his head, I want to take it and smash it.
He's the king of the North.
King of the North, yeah. Bullshit. Feud of the year, Tarek versus Kevin Bennett.
Yeah, definitely. As we just documented, how it came to a head with Bennett getting the title, and Tarek's been chasing after it and not able to get it back.
Solid runner-up, Tyson Dukes versus Carter.
Yeah, and also Revolt and Beefcake.
You are a Revolt fan.
that was part of the voting.
There you go, Jordan James. Alec Realm, I see he's the quiet one of the two. But
surprisingly.
Yeah, kind of nervous for the March show that's taking place and if we go live that night. Anyways, show of the year, Smash versus Progress. This one I was not at because I'm trying to remember. Was this what day did that happen? Because I went to as many shows as I could.
Friday.
Friday was wasn't Friday the Super Showdown?
Okay, so yeah, really?
So I went to Progress individually. I went to WXW individually. Okay. I went to the Summit. I went to.
I thought Super Showdown was the same day as the Summit.
All I know is I had fucking Chubbo in front of me like 3 or 4 times during the whole thing. Yeah, it's
true.
Still causes me nightmares.
I got from you, Steve was in front of me.
Yeah,
as well. So that's why I went to the stairs. That was the Super Showdown.
I will try to find some picture of my view with this guy in front of me. I mean, I got good pictures, but I had to basically bend like friggin' Gumby to get most of them. It wasn't a good thing, you know. But anyways, yeah, Smash versus Progress. That was was that Walter versus. Or was that the tag team? I'm gonna have to figure it out. But anyways, I didn't get to see it. But There was one shot.
That's one of the 8 shows over 4 days that we missed.
I'm just trying to think. Was that the one where Walter was doing a Boston Crab on somebody, and somebody else was doing a Boston Crab at the same time, and it was like
No,
the Pillars?
that was Super Showdown. I saw.
Oh, that was Super Showdown.
Because they took on the Pillars.
All right, so forget about. Anyways,
Eric and Brent.
Smash versus Progress show of the year, moment of the year. I was here for this one. I know that much. Psycho Mike returns to London from Tokyo. And I mean, you want to talk about pops in wrestling. This was, to me, as a fan, made me mark out. And even though it's guys have seen time and time and time again, but the fact is they had darkened the lights. They started putting this video up. Mike's on the video, and it's online on smash-wrestling.com as well as the YouTube videos. And all of a sudden, he's tripping it from Tokyo to basically London, Ontario within a matter of 3 minutes? Even shorter,
4 minutes-ish, I think it was. He even stopped for a bite to eat at a store. I think he stole a bike to get somewhere, and then he flew in and hitchhiked to London and from the airport. Meanwhile, Pepper Parks just stood there watching this, not expecting him to actually show up. And you would have thought he would have known his former tag team partner enough to know that in 4 minutes, it's possible to get from Tokyo to London.
Yeah, I'll never forget that graphic when it popped up. Well Machines, just the pop from the crowd. It was a very cool moment to see in person. And promo of the year, and I cannot remember this for the life of me. Tyson Dukes, What's That Mama? What was that? Was that when Tyson made the heel turn?
That was when Tyson turned on the fans and went after Carter's mom during Super Showdown, because they battled each other, and then Tyson sort of gave his approval to Carter Mason, and he left the ring for Carter to address the fans. And Carter was over as a face. He invited his mom to come in. Tyson returned to the ring to help mom into the ring. And next thing you know, he hopped into the ring and waffled Carter with a chair, backed Mama into the corner, berated her for a bit, and then turned his fury back onto Carter. And that's why they've had this bitter feud, because I think even Carter's mom slapped Tyson after what he had said to her.
Yeah. Any idea if there's another match coming up at all sometime soon?
Yeah, like this Friday, a week from tomorrow, 8 days from now, Falls Count Anywhere brawl, street fight, should I say, with the number one contendership on the line, facing off against the winner of Brent Banks and Kevin Bennett on February 23rd for Any Given Sunday 8 in Toronto.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting couple weeks in the month of February. So yeah, smash-wrestling.com is their official website. They do the awards every year. Some of them are, bang on. Some are could have gone either way. But definitely it's, our local promotion that we support as far as Canadian independent wrestling goes. So definitely check them out if you get the chance, Toronto or London. So I know Shawn's going to get out of here exactly for 9 o'clock. And in saying that, we may go either earlier or later next week, just depending on scheduling. But be sure to check out social media. Keep you posted. Yeah, check out social media. We'll let you know for sure. I was just about to say something. Old age kicking in, I think. Well, if I remember, I'll bring it back up. But Shawn, I'm going to bring up your stuff here. What's going on in the world of the Scumbags of Wrestling or the Ontario Indie Road Trip or anything else you got going on right now?
Yeah, Scumbags of Wrestling, our podcast happens weekly. We're available on iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, anywhere you get your podcasts from. And the Ontario Indie Road Trip cover 2 weeks of the Ontario Independent Wrestling calendar, highlighting all the different events that are going on. That's a video show that you can catch on Facebook and on YouTube. And hopefully getting back to the Tyson Dukes Wrestle Factory and being there when they do some matches. When that happens, we're going to be back in motion with the production line. It's 2 matches featuring the students from the Tyson Dukes Wrestle Factory, along with some either workout with the DDP yoga or seeing them doing some of the different moves and putting it together, Chain Wrestling. So that's the production line. There's, I believe, 20 episodes available on YouTube, so you can catch up on those shows if you haven't. And we always have a lot of stuff going on our Facebook page with the Superstar of the Day, celebrating somebody's birthday, and keeping up with news. So we're always interactive. Join us. Keep this going. Build the community.
Yeah, facebook.com/groups/Scumbags of Wrestling, as you can see scrolling on the screen there. Jonesy says, don't change times. 8 works best for me. We'll keep that in mind there, Jonesy.
Well, if we do go 8 o'clock, my part might be being done in a car as I'm heading to Windsor with my wife.
Yeah, we've seen worse happen during live shows.
It could happen.
Like that. Yeah, we'll call it a Jordan James moment. All right. So anyways, best way to get in touch with me, there's my website, cwnonline.ca, #CWNonline. It's my website devoted to Canadian wrestling, as well as getting the news out there, letting you know where it's at. Best way to get in touch with me, Chris at cwnonline.ca, as far as any kind of wrestling news goes. Best way to get in touch with the show here, Thursday Night Throwdown at outlook.com. Any kind of guests you want to see, anything you want to see us talk about, this and that. I am trying to get better at this little ticker thing, but I think I got too many of them going on. Yeah. So from there, anyways, next week, our focus is going to be Smash at Fanshawe. We'll try to get a guest on or two just to be able to talk about the show. I'm going to try to do a live interview as well at the show and kind of go from there. But Shawn, anything else going on? You looking forward to the Super Bowl this week?
I'm indifferent because it's not my Raiders. I was going to say Oakland Raiders, but they're moving to Las Vegas, which I'm trying to check out and see where they're actually holding the Super Bowl. I heard it was Vegas or something. I could be wrong.
What, this year?
Yeah.
Miami.
Okay. Sorry. Maybe it was because I was hearing somebody else and going to Vegas about the Super Bowl. Maybe it was for betting. But my Raiders are heading to Vegas this year and for next season. Hopefully things turn around and we'll see them in the Super Bowl. As far as the game goes, I'll watch it possibly just because it's the Super Bowl, but not sure who I want to see win.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Garoppolo, obviously being a Pats fan, but I don't know if you heard this rumor, Las Vegas potentially getting Brady. That might change their playoff fate. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. Anyways, yeah, I am Chris at CWN Online. He is Shawn at the Scumbags of Wrestling. Thank you very much for joining us. If you listen to us on audio through Anchor or iTunes or whatever the case may be, thank you very much. And we will see you next week. And again, support your local independent wrestling. And thanks, Shawn, for doing this, and have a good night.
Have a good one.